Today's question revolves around speaker voicing and whether or not some designers focus their attention on specific kinds of amplifiers to drive their speakers. And our question comes from Tim in Southwick, Massachusetts. I'm new to your channel, and thank you, Tim, for watching. I subscribed just recently. I know you're self-proclaimed no speaker expert, but I have a question about speaker voicing. Are there speakers that are voiced in a way that will sound better in tube amplification rather than solid-state amplification? Or does it not matter as long as you have quality, high-efficient, clear, and revealing speakers with quality components to drive them? That's a good question. And let's see if I have a good answer. Let's imagine that we're talking about high-end speakers and not your run-of-the-mill, Infinity and Bose and mass market, Klipsch sort of things. But we're talking about true high-end loudspeakers. Without question, those designers of high-end audio products and loudspeakers in particular have their favorite reference equipment that they use to voice those speakers. Now, I know for years when Arnie Nudell and I were running Genesis, with few exceptions, we never designed with solid-state equipment. Even though I am a solid-state designer, Arnie, up until, 2 years ago when he finally gave up tubes for our BHK series of amplifiers and preamplifiers, which no small coincidence, have tubes in the front end. He finally gave up his all-tube amplifiers and preamplifier for the BHK series because it truly was better. But that's been 40-something years. So all during the time, every Infinity product that you can think of, the IRS-5, the IRS-3, RS-1s, betas, everything that Arnie designed of Sirius, and I don't mean the little shit kickers that they used to make, like the SM series and the POS series, but their serious attempt at high-end audio, the big stuff, all designed on tube equipment. And many people found that running them on solid-state equipment was not optimum. Could be done. Many people did it. And I know plenty of other designers that all have their preference for their reference system that they voice it on. Now, I think it's a dangerous practice to use vacuum tube amplifiers to design loudspeakers. And I'll tell you why. Vacuum tube amplifiers have big output transformers that couple the vacuum tube power amp stage to the loudspeaker, and they are very dependent on impedance. So any kind of varying impedance by the loudspeaker dramatically affects the output amplitude at various frequencies wherever these dips in impedance are happening on a power amp. And speakers, with few exceptions, are all over the map. When you read that a speaker is, it's a 4 ohm loudspeaker or it's an 8 ohm loudspeaker, what you probably don't notice is that they have a little weasel word right in front of that 4 ohm, 8 ohm, and that weasel word, nominal. The nominal impedance is 4 ohms or 8 ohms. What does nominal mean? Well, it means the average, okay? So on average, when you look at this whole thing, it's 4 ohms, but those things dip and bump and go up and down like that. And on a solid state amp, no problem, who cares? On a tube amplifier, we care a great deal because the tube amplifiers, as I said, have these output transformers that are very dependent on going into a steady impedance load. So while a number of amp designers use tube equipment for their reference, they do so at, I believe, the peril of the loudspeaker. I think it's bad practice. When we are designing our loudspeakers for PS Audio, we will use the BHKs, which have the best of both worlds, which have a vacuum tube input stage, which gives you the sound of vacuum tubes, the warmth and the sweetness and the musicality of vacuum tubes, but with a MOSFET output stage so that you have stable impedance, you don't have these variabilities, and it can drive any kind of load. And that's the best of both worlds. And there, it'll sound great on tubes, it'll sound great on solid state. So anyway, I hope that answers your question, and it was a good one. Thank you very much for asking it. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.